I'm just waiting a few minutes to see if anyone else will be joining us. Or not even a few minutes. I'll give them a Okay, welcome to our second I See Me intentional creativity, art journaling, mixed media, use the messy desk. But if you do art journaling and other art like I do, you understand. So again, welcome. We always start by lighting a candle. The candle represents the light of the divine. We are inviting the divine into our space today to be present with us, whatever the divine means for you. End of reading. Remember you. Remember, no one can do what you do the way you do. Remember that what you do is needed and wanted. Remember, you have a unique purpose that has always lived within you. This purpose will continue to call on you until you say yes. Remember, saying yes will call upon you to become more than you are. This is the bliss of life, to be the most you that you can be. Remember, the key is to keep going no matter what. You can start and stop as many times as you need. Remember, unless you do this, you may always wonder what if. To try to dream changes how we dream, even if we don't reach it. Remember, living a dream is the journey, is the process, is the dream revealing itself. We are not waiting for a destination, since we can live each moment truly. Why wouldn't we? Remember, it will sometimes seem as if forces are against you. When we gather up enough speed to break through the resistances, we often encounter obstacles. This is not a sign to turn back. When we move forward in our vision, energy moves toward us at that moment. It opens up the next action, the next door, the next opportunity. When we take a leap of faith, new territory opens up that we did not see before, and we gain access to information not previously available. This is glorious news. When we risk believing in ourselves, we will be amazed at the support that comes. We will recognize that doing this work is what we were born to do. When we remember life not fully lived is not the life we want, then we choose. And we choose powerfully not to turn back. We may fail, we may fall, we may even disgrace ourselves. But what if we didn't? Or what if we did? Remember to remember you and what you are all about. Go forward now and live the life you were born to live. You belong to life, and life belongs to you. Have you forgotten you? What comes up for you when you sit with the idea that you may have forgotten parts of yourself? Isn't it odd that we think of everyone besides ourselves and sometimes wait a lifetime to go, hey, you know what? I have to be included here too. When we choose to make ourselves significant to the story, not only will others begin to see us that way, but our own genius will be able to make itself known. Claiming ourselves changes us and lets the music emerge. To remember is to call back the places within you that have come apart. Remembering is a soul journey, one that causes you to go deep into it, one that causes you to go into deep inquiry if you are willing to do the work. There is some hidden sense within us that we used to be more ourselves as a child, at some other point in life, a time when our soul essence was really intact. Some say that soul is intact no matter how far you have come away from it, and that when you return to it, it is as if you didn't miss a stitch. And integration begins immediately. Imagine that you are calling these lost parts back from a vast canyon where they have been waiting. Give each part a name as they are brought home to you from a lost land and reclaimed. So have you forgotten you? That's our inquiry for this morning. I hope you all have your single sheets, if you're doing single sheets like me this year, or if you're not, your journal. The inquiry we are musing about and working on this morning is, have you forgotten you? You can write that on your page if you choose. And before we get into our inquiry, as always, I would like to extend the red thread of connection to you. For those of you who don't know, there's an ancient Chinese proverb that tells us that at birth, we are connected to those that we were destined to meet. This red thread connects us for eternity. It may stretch or twist or turn or be pulled, but it will never break. So we are here today, and I am connected to you, Dee and Valerie. Thank you for being here. And you guys are connected to me. I have been called to the circle as you have been called to the circle. You have your own unique piece of red thread, as I have my own unique piece. And you are only responsible for your piece of the red thread. I witness you as you witness me, and may love be at the center of all of our choices. So today, the first thing that we're going to do is to muse about our inquiry. Have you forgotten you? So I want you to write on your journal page those things about you that you've forgotten, that you let go by the wayside to be of service to others. Those parts of you that you remember, but that you have not honored. So let's write those first. Because you know me, I like to release. And this is a good way to release what no longer serves you. And in this case, we are releasing the parts of us that we have forgotten so that we can reclaim them and bring them back to ourselves. Let's just take a few minutes and write about our inquiry this morning. Have you forgotten you? And please use what you have: pencil, pen, crayon, marker, whatever you have. You don't have to have the same things that I have. And right now, all I have is Sharpie. So, Remember to sign and date. Even though it's going to be covered up, we always sign and date. And when you finish your writing, I invite you to place your hands on it. To release what needs to be released. And to reclaim those parts of you that you have forgotten. I should. So today, since we're reclaiming, I have a separate sheet of flimsy cardstock. So if you have a separate sheet of cardstock or a separate sheet of paper, use what you have. Obviously, we're in the middle of the class, so you can't run out and get anything else, but use what you have. Just remember, you do not have to have the exact tools and supplies that I had. So the first thing that we're going to do today is to draw a basket, because we are reclaiming things and we need a basket to carry that which we are reclaiming. And you don't have to be a great artist to draw a simple basket. Nothing fancy. Whatever comes, comes. Whatever comes is fine. Doesn't have to be perfect. There are no art police. And then when you have your basket drawn, you can cut it out. Be careful when you do this part. I have poked myself more than once. And I don't know if I mentioned, but in case I didn't mention it, our reading today was from Shiloh Sophia's book, Tea with the Midnight Muse. Once you have your basket cut out, I'm just going to put mine on top of my page that I'm doing today. Get out your gouache, and if you don't have gouache, use acrylic paint, use markers, crayons, whatever you have to create color. You do not have to have gouache. I'm just playing with the gouache because I had it in my stash and I haven't had an opportunity to play with it yet. So please most definitely use what you have. And if I can get it open, it'll be good. We'll be in good shape. And we're just going to take a paintbrush and decorate our basket. I have it on top of, because it's a cutout, I have it on top of my page so that if I don't have to worry about being neat and staying in the lines and not going over and getting paint everywhere. If I go over the lines, the paint will just go on my page. And for those of you who don't know what gouache is basically opaque watercolor. Hi, Sharonda. Gouache is basically opaque watercolor. So that means that once it dries, if it is re-wetted, it will reactivate and the paint will move. So just be aware of that. So I'm just going to pick some colors and decorate my basket. I know you might not be able to see this, but I just have a piece of palette paper to the side that I'm putting my paint on. And I realized that I do not have a fresh jar of water. Oh, yes, I do. Never mind. Fresh enough. I just don't want my paint tinted by dirty water, but I can use this. And with gouache, you should wet your paintbrush. And then dip it in the gouache and apply it to your page, or in this case, to our basket. And the basket doesn't have to be all the same color. You can use a few colors. If you know me, I like color. The more water you add, the less opaque gouache is. So obviously, in reverse, the less water you add, the more opaque it'll be. And I don't want you to even think about it. Just apply the paint. Follow the brush. And let whatever comes, come. And while we're doing this, we should be thinking about our inquiry. What have you forgot? Have you forgotten you? Sorry, not what. Have you forgotten you? You can try, if you're using gouache, you can try, without as much water, like this patch right here that I just put on. That has very little water in it. And so you see how it's a lot more opaque than when I dip my brush in the water. This is with water. And as you see, there's no rhyme or reason. I'm not trying to be neat. I'm not trying to stay in the line. I'm just getting a layer of wash down. You can also dip your paintbrush in the wash and then uh, blot it off on a paper towel or a paint rag so that it is wet, but not as wet. And when you are satisfied with the paint on your basket, you can set it aside to dry. And on the rest of, I know that you saw me roll up my cardstock because I wasn't thinking, but life goes on. I have another piece of cardstock. But once we finish painting our basket, then we're going to take out our cardstock again, not our journal page, but some more cardstock or the same piece that you cut your basket out of would be ideal. I'm just adding some pops of yellow. As you see, I have no rhyme or reason to where I apply the paint. But because my brush wasn't that wet, I was able to layer the yellow on top of the blue and the pink without causing it to move. So, as I was saying, once we finish painting our basket, we can set that to the side. And we can also move that page out of the way. You guys will paint on top of your page. And with the rest of your cardstock or a new piece of cardstock, I want you to draw and cut out some hearts. It doesn't matter what size the hearts are. I encourage you to make different size hearts. Large ones, small ones. Don't make them too small because we're going to write on them. Again, we're not Picasso, so we're not looking for Picasso. Like hearts. Draw a heart the best you can. Let your inner child be free. And you don't have to have them in any kind of order or pattern on your paper because we're going to cut them out anyway. So. Excuse me 1 second. Okay. Draw your hearts and cut them out. I hate fussy cutting. And when you cut them out, don't lose them. That would be my MO. And we don't need a specific amount of hearts. Any amount that you are called to draw and cut out. Hope you girls, I shouldn't call you girls. Hope you ladies are doing well this morning. I'm glad you joined me. As you're cutting out your hearts, think about those parts of you that you have forgotten and that today you are calling back to yourself. 2 more. You also should think about what your life will be like when you reclaim those parts of yourself that you have forgotten. How much better will your life be? What does that look like? How will it feel to live truly, authentically, and wholly yourself? When you get your hearts cut out, you can bring your page back over again. Isn't that pretty? I think it. I love it. I love my little basket. And then put your hearts on top of it. And we're going to paint the hearts with the gouache the same way as we painted our basket. All hearts in that red. So you don't have to worry about having a bunch of little red hearts in your basket. You can paint them whatever color you want to. It's your page. The only rule is there are no rules. And remember, with the gouache or even acrylic paint, it doesn't matter. You can always use your paint rag and blot some of the water off so that your paint is more opaque if that's what you're looking for. And they don't have to be all painted one color. You can paint them multiple colors on the same part like we did our basket. And I guess I should have said this in the beginning, but a little wash goes a long way. So you don't have to squirt out a lot from your tube. What color shall I do now? I haven't used this one yet. Let's see what this color looks like. On the palette paper, it looks much like the other blue. But we shall see. We shall see. That time I used very little water. And it came out nice and opaque. Just have fun with it. But remember to keep your inquiry in mind as you're painting. And try not to make mud like I just did. all good. It's all good. All work out in the end. I like that uh, you can blend the gouache even after it's dried. The wet brush just reactivates the other color. And then it allows them to be blended pretty darn nicely. So I am liking that about the gouache. My rainbow heart. I like that one. Oh my. I love yellow, but it causes mud most of the time. If you're not careful. My top doesn't want to go back on. And that's the other thing about gouache because it is pretty opaque. You can use it as long as you don't use too much water. You can use it to cover up the other colors on your page. Here I clearly had too much water in my brush. Ooh. Okay, once you have all your hearts painted, you can set them to the side so they can be drying. And then we can go to our journal page, whether it's in a journal book or whether you have yours single sheets like me. And now we're going to create our background using gouache. And I'm not going to use that tiny brush though because we'll be here forever. I hate choosing colors. Please excuse my paint shirt. It's one of the shirts I wear when I'm painting it. I know I'm going to get messy. Okay, when we're painting our background, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no uh, pattern for what we're doing here. It doesn't matter if your words show through the paint. We'll probably end up putting a couple of layers. We might layer some collage on here, some papers or whatever. So don't be concerned about how are you supposed to paint it on. Paint it on however wherever the brush goes. There is no right and there is no wrong. It's just paint. I keep glancing up at the screen every now and then, make sure no one's typing anything in the chat, asking any questions. I'm liking the texture of the gouache. And I like that I can put it down on the page and then with my brush to get it to move even more. Guess I should move my pencil out the way. Don't be afraid to take risks with your colors. You can always layer more on top if you don't like what comes out. I'm gonna keep my page in frame. And as I'm moving my brush on the page, I really am thinking about our inquiry today. I'm thinking about parts of me that I have let go of for one reason or another. And I'm not beating myself up about it. Life happens. But I am gently asking that those parts that I desire to return, I'm asking for their return. And I hope that watching me just playing around on this page with no design in mind, I hope that's helping you guys to release the desire to have a plan in mind and a project to be painted. When I come to my journal, I never have a plan. I open up to a page, or in this case, since I'm using single sheets, I pull out a sheet of paper and I just have at it. Whatever comes, comes. But all the while, as I am creating, I'm usually in inquiry about something. It's usually something in my mind that I'm thinking about pertaining to my life. Or maybe there's some circumstance or situation I'm going through. When I go to my journal, that's my time to deal with those things in my journal. Listen to the sound of the brush going across your page. Tune into that sound as you are in inquiry. kind of soothing. At least it is for me. White noise as I process things. Helps move me deeper into inquiry. I'm just splashing paint around and trying to get all of the white space. I don't care that my writing is showing through. This is my journal. No one will see it unless I offer it to them to go through. If you are in a situation where you definitely want to make sure that no one sees your writing, you can always collage your papers or book pages over top of your writing first, and then do the layer of wash. If you're using acrylic paint, the acrylic paint will definitely cover up the writing. Excuse me. I know this set of wash that I purchased doesn't have a wide range of colors. Man, I know I can mix my own colors for the ease and purposes of doing this live with you guys. It'd be nice to have some more colors so I don't have to worry about mixing. I can't wait to get to the next stage. Checking out time. We have about 58 more minutes. I'm gonna try to move a little faster. And I don't have to hang up, nor will we get kicked off because this is not Zoom. So if we run a little over, I'll just keep going. Of course, if you have to leave at 12 o'clock when the workshop is over, go ahead and leave and know that the video will be up in the classroom within 24 hours. I usually put it up there right away. I don't do much editing to those. So if you have to leave, or if maybe I've moved too fast for you at some parts and you're trying to catch up, Don't stress yourself out. The recording it will be enough. I just love how I can blend. I'm liking these. My water's getting a little dirty. Definitely having an impact on my yellow. Are you following the brush? Are you thinking about your our inquiry today? There will be homework. The other thing about gouache is if it dries up on your palette, like this red I'm spreading right now, it was dry as a bone on my palette. But because my brush is wet, I was able to reactivate it. And look how nicely it covered. Once you get your whole page covered in color, if you have white gouache, I'm gonna use a fresh brush because my water is not so fresh anymore. I can't find my spray bottle. Okay, so since my water is dirty, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to spray my page. I know that's going to reactivate the gouache that's already there, and that's fine. And it's doing wreaking all kinds of havoc on my page to straighten. And then I'm going to take some white gouache. I'll turn my page to the side. And then just layer it across the colors. And I don't want a thick, heavy layer because I don't want this covering. I want it blended. See how that works? Don't push too hard because you can create mud. Like I said, I went my page, which reactivated all the colors that were already on there. To see how that tones the colors down. Pushes them to the back, but doesn't cover them. And all those little splotches all over the place that we once had have now come together and are more cohesive. Right now, here's the part, guys, that I unfortunately cannot mute for you, but I need to do it so that we can move on to the next step. So mute so you can't hear me maybe for the next minute or so. It is 11:11, and I'm grateful to be here with you. I'm grateful that you all have joined me, and I'm grateful for this time musing about what I have forgotten about myself. Thank you for being here. Sorry about that, guys. I'm so sorry. It's dry enough. Hi, Hi, Audrey. Glad you could join us. I have this mandala stencil. If you have stencils, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Again, like I said, I never plan what I'm going to do. It just comes when it wants to come. Oh, right, so. I'm just using my stencil, a little finger sponge. I'm going to add some, just move my stencil. Add some stenciling to my page. Again, Audrey, I don't know if you were here when I said that the video, the recording for this class will be up in the classroom within 24 hours. So anything you missed, or if I'm moving too fast, you can go back and see the video. Ooh, one of my cards got left over there. And I'm sorry, to show you this. I'm just using archival ink pads. If you have Tim Holtz distress pads, distress ink pads, they're fine. Any ink pads you have, if you have any. If not, skip the step. Or use stamps. You can use stamps. Ah, pretty. Pretty, pretty. I'm just gonna hold this up to the camera a little closer so we can get a better look at how that stenciling with ink pad It's coming out. Too many cricket. As you see, I'm not, there's no rhyme or reason to my ink pad stenciling. I'm just grabbing my stencil and rubbing the ink through. Just let go. Enjoy the process of creating while you are thinking about your inquiry. This is addictive. I will tell you that. I'm loving this part of the process. But while I am enjoying the process, I am also thinking about the inquiry. I could do this stuff with all day. It's turning out so nice. Oops, move my stencil. I'm going to have a wonky one. And that's okay too, because it must want to be wonky. Couple more, then we can go on to the final steps. Our basket and our heart should be plenty dry by now. Okay. I think that's enough stenciling. Don't forget to wash your stencil off. Okay, back to our basket. We bring our basket back in onto our page and decide where we want it. You can go anywhere you want. You can even turn your page for different orientation. I think I like that. And you can use glue or double-sided tape, which is what I'm going to use. But then I need you to adhere your basket to your page, but don't glue it down flat. I want to keep a pocket, so just glue around the perimeter of it or tape it down, leaving this open because our hearts are going to go here inside of our basket. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, please let me know in the chat. So like I said, I'm just using double-sided tape because it happened to be on my desk. And it's easy. I'm all for easy. So the only thing about double-sided tape, it's always an interesting journey to get the other side of the tape off. I mean, not tape, the covering, protective covering. Expose the adhesive so I can actually stick it down. My basket wants to fight with me today. Okay. There we go. And I still have the pocket that I can put my heart inside of my basket. I'm going to set this to the side for a moment, and now I'm going to go back to my heart. And what I want you ladies to do with your hearts is our inquiry today was, have you forgotten you? So on our hearts, I want you to write those things that you have forgotten about you that you are reclaiming. Whatever it is, you can use marker, pen, crayon, it doesn't matter. I'm going to use a Posca paint pen simply because it has fine tip. Decide what color I want to. Oh, red. That's the Posca paint marker paint pen, whatever you want to call it. Because it has a fine tip, that's why I'm using this, but use what you have. And when you write your words on your heart, make sure you are writing them in a positive light. You want to call to you positivity, not a negative expression of the same thing. Use positive words. I mean, it could be simple as, I don't want to write it. Hope. Doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't have to be eloquent. It could be one word. It could be a couple of words. Whatever you can fit on there. And I might have to get a different pen. So many of my hearts have red on them. Doing good on time, doing good on time. I don't think this red is going to load my book. A different color for these last two. Hit some red. And you have all your hearts written out. You can add them to your basket. And they're kind of, well, at least mine are kind of curly now because of the paint that I put on them. But remember, when this goes into your journal and the journal is closed, it'll lay on parts and they'll eventually flatten out some. So it doesn't matter that they're sticking out for now. Just be careful if you're working in a journal book and not on a single sheet. Just be careful to, when you close your book first few times, to make sure that they're laying flat so you don't bend up your hearts. Don't go breaking your heart now. And the neat thing about this process today is we've just made a few hearts, but you can come back to this page and to this inquiry as often as you want to and add more hearts. I don't know how big your basket is, but you can add them all on the outside or wherever you want them. Tuck more in the back, make some bigger, however you want. But as you continue to muse about the inquiry of have you forgotten you, and think about those parts that you want to call back to yourself, you may have forgotten about yourself. Make yourself a heart. Draw it on a piece of paper, cut it out, slap some paint on it, and write down the word. The last part of today's page is for me, because I'm using 15 by 17, I don't know, large sheet of paper, large sheet of watercolor paper. I have all the space here. And so now what I'm going to write on this side are some positive things for myself that are in regard to our inquiry of have you forgotten you? We all go through that. We all forget ourselves from time to time. We get caught up helping others and doing for others. And so now on this side of my page, I'm going to write some things that will call those things back to me. The homework, remember I said earlier there will be homework. There's homework every month. The homework is, as I said in last month's class, our first class, the back of our, if you're using single sheets or even if you're using a journal, back of our page is blank. And that is your writing, your written journal space. That is the space that you use to write whatever has come up for you today or whatever comes up for you throughout this next week coming that relates to our inquiry of have you forgotten. You write your heart, write down what you're feeling inside about this inquiry. But I want you to keep it in a positive frame. Everything that everything that we put in this journal should be journaled in a positive light. There is enough classes and therapists and therapies out here that focus in on the pain point. And what I'm trying to do is get us to focus in on what is good rather than what caused us to feel this way or to be in this situation or to be where we are at this point out in our lives. The negatives. Let's leave that philosophy for someplace else. In here, we want to focus in on what is good. And I know that some classes may start with our blank sheet, and I'm telling you, write all the negative stuff. We're not focusing on that negative stuff. We're writing it down just so we can let it go. So the back of your journal page, whether it's in a book or whether it's a single sheet, will be where you write your story of how you have now reclaimed those parts of you that may have been forgotten. So that is it for, thank you, Dee. That is it for this class, but we have a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions about anything that I did on my page, I was kind of moving kind of fast a little bit just to make sure that we could get through it all so you would know what to do with your basket and your hearts. Otherwise, if there are no questions, then we can leave this time for us to write our positive things and maybe even start our writing on the back. I'm leaving mine blank for now because I know there is a quote that I want to put here, but I don't know what the quote is off the top of my head. I have to pull out my journal and find the quote. So if we don't have any questions, any thoughts, anything anyone wants to share? Thank you, Valerie. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I don't know, I crawled under my desk, which is what I do to get the things that I need, and grabbed the first piece of cardstock I found. It was really flimsy. It was really flimsy. It was a step above a regular sheet of copy paper. So you can always take your heart if your basket curled too much and it's just too hard to manage, you can take your basket and glue it down to a sheet of watercolor paper or some thicker cardstock and then cut it out again. Cut around it again, cut it out again, since you've already painted that basket, or you can just create a new basket for yourself. Yeah, I have no clue. I have so much paper around. I grabbed the first thing I got my hands on. Thank you, Audrey. I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right, ladies. Well, it doesn't look like anyone has any questions. Like I said, the recording will be up in the classroom within 24 hours. I would give it an hour or so because I'm just going to hop off of here and um, do any little small editing that I need to do and then get it uploaded for you. So it's always there for you. You have forever access until the end of January next year. The videos are downloadable if you want to keep anything for yourself. Um, and I'm glad that you all came to art with me today. I hope everyone enjoyed the class. Thank you to the ladies who let me know that it was a good class. The feedback is very much appreciated. And I will see you ladies again next month. Thank you for being here. Love you all. Toodles. I guess I can't use my mouse on my phone.